Hello YouTube, Patrick here with Homebred Aquatics. So today we're going to be doing do-it-yourself freshwater fish food for free. Now I say free because by the end of this I'm going to show you how to maybe just make enormous amounts of fish food for yourself for free. And if you don't need as much fish food, you could even make some money on it. So stick around with me. Let me show you the whole recipe. We're going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to process it. I'm going to package it. I'm going to show you everything you need to do this. Now understand these recipes can be changed a little bit. I like what I'm doing here, and I'm making it as affordable as I can and as affordable for my customers as I can as well. So let's get started with the ingredients, all right? Alrighty, so welcome to the kitchen. Now, we're going to go over all the products we need today. I'm going to go over our dry stuff, our preparation stuff, our fresh fish, our frozen fish, and other things, and our vitamins and all that other stuff. So, let's get it all kicked off. Let's start off with VitaChem Fresh Formula. So this is just going to be our basic vitamins for our fish. This is going to enhance immune systems. This is going to enhance the food just even more. I think this is definitely a necessary ingredient. And if you're making bigger batches, get the giant bottle. If you're making smaller batches, you can get the 8-ounce bottles. Next up is going to be our garlic extract. Now you can use regular garlic as well. I'm using the garlic extract because it's much easier overall to use. I don't have to grind down, and I wasted a lot of time trying to peel up some garlic last time. Now what this is going to do is make the food a little bit more appetizing to the fish. Some people will say it has some properties to help get rid of ick. I wouldn't necessarily fall on that as a primary use, but it just makes food more appetizing. Now this isn't going to go in all of my batches. I'm going to list some batches that have no garlic and some that do have garlic for your pickier fish. Next up on our dry ingredients is spirulina powder. Spirulina powder is going to add that nice vegetation to it. A little bit goes a long way on this stuff, but we're going to add it to all the batches to help add some more of that veggie to it. So let's run into our fresh ingredients, starting off with the only other vegetable, because spirulina is also necessarily vegetable, but that being spinach. I got a full head of spinach over here. We're going to grind that up as well and put that into the batch. As for our fresh fish, started off with mackerel. No particular reason I decided on mackerel other than it was dirt cheap. $3 a pound cleaned. Couldn't beat it. Nice way to go. There's nothing wrong with using mackerel. So, added it to it. Following that for filleted fish is going to be tilapia. So I went ahead and got 5 pounds of tilapia, another relatively inexpensive fish. Goes a very long way. Again, no particular reason other than it is another fish to add to this. Good nutrition, high levels of protein. Alright, our shellfish. So we are doing fresh shrimp. Now I have the shells on these shrimps. So it's going to take me a while to peel it. I'll have that all fast forwarded through. But in the past I have also done frozen. I hedge away from frozen a little bit after I did a little research on some issues that people were having with frozen. A particular thing that gets stuck in frozen food that causes issues with fish. Can't think of it off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the little text box down here on the screen to show you what that is. And if I find the link to the information, I'll link it in the description. But 6 pounds of shrimp overall. I'm doing fresh this time. And this is going to be our main ingredient. High levels of protein and really healthy for our fish. Fish love shrimp. For our last fresh fish, we're doing salmon. Now salmon, the most expensive ingredient, and one I was really debating on leaving out of this, but I love wild salmon because of its high fat content. That high fat content isn't really found in any of the white fish I'm using, like the mackerel or the tilapia or the shrimp. So having a nice fatty fish will provide those omega-3s and the omega-6s. So that's why this is here. As for our frozen ingredients, bloodworms. Now I'm going to add bloodworms to everything but a couple batches for myself because a few of my fish, rams and epistrogramas in particular, like to get blowed off this stuff. But everything else is going to get a nice helping of bloodworms. Fish love it. And that's as easy as it is to say, a nice source of vitamin C. And then another 16-ounce sheet of frozen brine shrimp. Again, a staple food for our fish. They know what it is, they like it, they love it. It's going in the blend. Now, moving into our dry ingredients, or moving into our equipment and supplies. So first up on equipment is going to be our food processor, an absolute must, but honestly these food processors are like $40 to get, but this is going to really grind everything up. If I have any residual bones when I'm making any of this fresh fish, it'll grind it down to a pulp for me and make it into a nice paste, and that paste is what I'm ultimately looking for when I'm making this fish food. And then a blender, because when I start to bring everything together, I'm going to re-blend it, add a little bit of water to get its consistency not so thick. Not 100% necessary. I've made it pretty thick before with no problems. Next up is going to be our 8x6 bags. You can use any bag size you want. I just happen to have a bunch of 8x6 sealable bags. And I'm also going to use these smaller. I think these are 2x4 bags for hobbyist level stuff, people that aren't breeding a million fish like I am, and sell those as well. All right, also up, this is more for me, but nice to have if you're making fish food for yourself. Silicone ice cube trays. I'm going to pour my blends into here. This makes it an easy way to pop it out, just like if I was to buy the cubed frozen foods. Then parchment paper. Parchment paper. Oh man, guys, secret ingredient right here. This is just going to help separate this when I have the frozen stuff. And what I mean by that is I lay parchment paper over each stack I do, because if not, this stuff gets just a little bit of water on it and then it's frozen solid together. Two things left. One I don't have in the picture, but gloves. Get some gloves. You don't want your hands being fishy. And it's going to get cold. Regardless, it's going to get cold. I'm going to have to run my hands under hot water here or there. But have some gloves on hand. Some paper towels too. Didn't mention that, but have them. And then last but not least, again, the thing I don't have here is a label maker. For me, since I'm selling it, I'm going to label all the ingredients in there for people from highest concentration to lowest concentration. All right, so that's everything we have here. That's everything you're going to need, and your hands. Let's go ahead and get through this. All right, so a couple things I didn't mention. My girlfriend says I have ADHD. I think I'm succumbing to her, honestly. Anyway, put your frozen food up, and bring out all your fresh food as you use it. So we want to keep this stuff as frozen and not let it get hot or warm room temperature. So put it away, bring it out as you need it. And we're going to work fast. Also, tin foil bins. Now this is where I'm going to separate each of my ingredients into piles, and then I'm going to mix them up in here. Nice to have. You can also use a bucket. Matter of fact, I have a nice gallon bucket, 2-gallon bucket, I don't know. But I have another gallon bucket that I can use as well. All right, so enjoy some music. Watch me just rip through all this. And save for the end, because we're going to show you how I made this free. we peeled all the shrimp. It took me like an hour and a half, honestly. I'm gonna go ahead and start grinding this down. That way I can put it back in the fridge to chill. That way, again, it doesn't get room temperature. I had to do a couple batches of peeling because I had so much shrimp, about 2 pounds each time. But as simple as it is, grind it up, and then I'm gonna throw it back in here. Alright, now that we blended everything up nice and good, I'm going to put this back in the fridge again until I start my mixture, my hand mixture of all of these. But as you can see, it's quite a paste. That's the consistency we're really looking for, and you're not going to get that consistency with a blender at all. However, if you are feeding giant fish, or much larger fish than I am, you could absolutely just use a blender for all of this, frankly. I'd say except for the veggies. I don't know if the veggies will pulp down as far as you really want them. But this really makes this paste type food. So, and that's what I'm looking for here. Oddly enough too, I'm gonna go take a break on this and I'm gonna feed my fish just some shrimp. Some of this shrimp paste. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and put the blender. I'm not even going to clean it because everything's mixed together. So one batch of ingredients. I'm going to put the food processor in the fridge as well. That way any of this leftover glue of shrimp doesn't end up spoiling, and then we have a whole nother issue on our hands. Remember, food safety is a big thing here. And just like yourself, you want to be food safe for your fish as well. So keeping things cold, keeping things nice, and out of bacteria's way will go a far, far away. You don't want to be the guy responsible for killing your fish, and if you make this for other people, everybody else's fish. Alright, got the salmon all sliced up so I can put it through the food processor. Let's get that started. Alright, got my nice paste going. Let me get the chum bucket out and then add to that. Since I feel some of this getting a little warm, I'm going to rinse all this off. All right, next up our mackerel. Now the only thing I'm gonna make sure with this is I try to get some of the bones, the spine out. And you can have them fillet that up like that if you want to. Honestly, I should have. All right, so what we missed out on is I went ahead, I did a terrible job. I should have got the tilapia sushimi because this guy doesn't know how to clean fish very well. The mackerel, that was okay. The tilapia, no. So we're outing the tilapia, that's fine. I have a replacement. I went ahead and processed an entire pound of PE mysis. Great shrimp. Awesome. I'm glad it's a substitute, honestly. I blended down the brine, or processed the brine, and I processed the bloodworms. All that's left is the veggies. And I forgot one thing to mention, which was I'm going to use peas too. Completely blew my mind. But let's get to processing those two, and then we're going to bring everything together. Alright, so it's mixing time. So frozen ingredients, we're going to pretty much throw everything in here. Now as I said, I'm going to make a batch without bloodworms in it. So I'm going to separate some of that over there, and that's just for me. So no. Alright, so mix my own batch up. This is our main batch right here. I'm going to grip it together, kind of just smush it together, and then we're going to go throw portions into our blender, and then we're going to divide it all out from there. So just watch our montage, see how it goes. All right, so we've made our paste, our freshwater fish food concoction. Now comes, I guess, the easiest part of this all, which is just bagging it. Now I have a scale, and I recommend if you plan to sell it, you get a scale. Make sure everything's about even. And I'm gonna use a ladle to ladle it in there, wash my hands off so that I'm not getting fish food all over everything. But yeah, we'll see how many bags we make. I think I'm gonna aim for probably 16-ounce bags and see how many of those I can get off. And let's get that montage going. All right, so we're here in the bagging process, and now I've been making 1 pound bags so far. I'm just gonna show you that process and explain it as I go of how I'm bagging it. So just check it out. So obviously we'll grab our bag. I pulled out a ladle or a giant spoon. Have my scale zeroed out. So just open this up a little wider. All right, so now that we have it measured out, clean this off a little bit. Gonna go ahead and seal it up for the most part, lay it down, and I'm just gonna flatten it out and flatten a majority of the air out. I'm getting this thing nice and even. When I get most of the air out, I'm gonna close it up the rest of the way. Again, just evening it out. And we put it up. All right, so pretty simple in the bagging. I'm gonna do some 4-ounce bags too, just so people that don't have a bunch of fish like me have some other options. And then we'll come to our conclusion. All right. All right, guys. So last night was a long night. From start to finish, cleanup and everything, it ended up taking me about 4 hours. A lot of food, but we got it done. As you can see, I had to film this next part the following day. I was just exhausted and didn't make any sense. But we did end up making 12 16 ounces. We made 6 4 ounces. So that was in total, that was a 200 and what was it? 216 ounces, I think, we had in total. So a real decent chunk of food, honestly. And in total, I ended up spending $190 on the whole recipe. All that food we saw that I prepped, everything cumbersome was at. So let's break it down a little. Let's get nitty gritty. So spent 190. I made the 12 16-ounce bags, which is about 192 ounces, 6 4-ounce bags, 24 ounces. Now, if I take into account my cost per bag, I take my total ounces and then divide that up by what I spent, which gives me about 87 cents an ounce, which is pretty good, honestly. I don't know of many fish foods. I think even if I look at this one receipt, just bloodworms alone for 16 ounces was $19. So that's above $1 an ounce. Now, what I can do here and what I plan to do is instead charge about $1.50 an ounce. Now, if I charge $1.50 an ounce, multiply that by my total ounces, that gives me about $324. So 1.5 times what I spent. So, and then I can take that and break those down into each of the packages. So my 12-ounce packages would come out to be roughly $24, and then my 4-ounce bags would come out to be $6. So let's say I sold it all. I'd make some money on it. I wouldn't get rich off of it, but I definitely make some money off of it. But my goal here is to make free fish food. And if I go through about one of these every 2 weeks or so, and then I do this again in 2 months, I can definitely make it to where my fish food's nearly free for me. And the same thing can be said on anybody else's scale. You make half the amount I did, let's say 8 pounds, and you could still come out to be on top of it with your own free food or even make money on it. So it is something you can do. You just have to account that this takes a long time. It's really, really messy. If you have a wife or a girlfriend that lives with you, she's probably not going to appreciate how dirty the kitchen is. My girlfriend woke up to some fish slime on the refrigerator handles and the doors I touched, and I completely forgot to clean it up last night. But yeah, I hope this helped you show that you can make your own fresh fish food. And again, it's just so much better than a lot of the off-the-shelf food you can buy. Again, I've infused it with vitamins. I gave it some garlic to enhance a lot of picky fish to eat at it. And it's rich in protein, has a nice amount of omega-3s and omega-6s in it. And let's not even think about all the vitamins. I'm not going to break that down, but definitely nutritious. Definitely something to look into if you got a lot of fish tanks like me, or you just kind of want to do it at the hobbyist level for everybody and you have a nice group of people around you. Well, I hope you appreciated this and I hope you took something from it. If you did, leave a comment below. And if you have a recipe, share it with me. I'm always interested. I like to change it up a bit and do something a little bit different. And I'd love to hear your recipes. Show everybody in the comments those cool recipes you might have or ideas on recipes overall. Share those below too. All right, I appreciate you guys. And thanks for sticking with me. This was a longer one. All right, bye.